Welcome to something slightly different on the channel today. My small collection of Custodian Guard from the Horus Heresy, the 30k games made by Games Workshop / Forge World. This is the only collection I have for that game system now. I did have a lot of Legion miniatures as well, but I've got rid of all those now just to pare the collection down and focus on these, because my primary interest is still in historicals, but I do like certain sci-fi and fantasy systems as well. So let's dive in and have a look at the collection. So first up on this end of the line here, you've got some regular Custodian Guard. These have actually been made out of the plastic Games Workshop figures that I think are called Wardens, because I prefer them with the small cloaks, or tabards, or whatever you want to refer to them as I think that the miniatures without those can look a bit sort of wide stanced, a bit the way the sort of Marines were sculpted in the past, and I don't like it as much. This gives them a bit more of a sort of regal feel and somehow proportions the miniatures slightly better. And as you can see, there's a squad of 5 here. There are 2 squads of 5, and there are a couple of Adricite spears in the squad. And by making 10 of them, it means I can mix and match the squad numbers and sizes. Then behind them, you've got some Venetari. 6 figures here, a couple of lances, and then 4 with the bucklers and the pistols. These are really, really nice miniatures. I think they're the only miniatures I've ever really had to think about sub-assembling, because the wings obscure so much of the detail otherwise when you try and paint them. But yeah, they're really, really nice miniatures, and a really nice sculpts by Forge World as well. I was really impressed with them, and I put a little bit of extra sort of effort into the flesh tones and trying to make them all slightly individual within the squad. And they're quite effective in the game as well. They're nicely balanced rules, because they trade quite a lot of hitting power for a bit more vulnerability and trying to close to contact. Then next to them, you've got some Hetaeron Guard. These are some slight conversions from a mixture of plastic kits. Again, I've converted the spears. They've all got Adricite spears, with the exception of the Hetaeron Guard at the front, who has got a Paragon blade instead. And again, I can sort of flip the different miniatures and weapons in and out depending on the point size that I'm going to go for. And they've all got shields. I can't really be accused of being some kind of power gamer, because I knowingly gave them shields because I thought it would look cooler and mark them out, despite the fact that hampers the effects of the spears in terms of the rules. But I like them looking like this and makes them distinct. And I gave them purple to give them a sort of regal, royal, standout look to the rest of the red accents in the colour scheme of the army. You can also see scattered in the front there the different objective markers, of which I made 5 for this force. And moving along, so this is the overall commander at the moment. This is the Forge World miniature for Jenetia Krole, with some sisters as a bodyguard, some Raptor guard in this case. She's a really nice, really finely detailed miniature paint, and a good sort of all-rounder in terms of the game itself. Not too powerful, a bit vulnerable, isn't going to ruin anybody's day and be too hard to take down. Which comes with some nice rules. Really, really nice miniature to paint. And then next to her here, we've got 10 Sisters of Silence, just armed with the bolters. I would say they're cheap and cheerful, actually quite hard to get rid of in game terms, and I've given them silver and then dark blue to give them slightly different accents to the rest of the army. But yeah, those are nice miniatures as well. On this end here, you've got another squad of 5 Custodians, very similar to the squad on the other end of the line. Behind them, we've got 5 Sentinel Guard with their shields and swords. The swords are from Conversion World. I don't really like the big, really broad-bladed weapons that come in the actual kit, and then one's been converted to have a Solarite gauntlet at the back. Again, if I was of a different disposition, I might have given them all Solarite gauntlets and things like that, but I kind of built all these squads in groups just because I felt I wanted to go for the look of them, to be honest, and what looked and felt cool, and was a nice trade-off then between what might be relatively effective in rules terms, but was something I preferred in visual terms. It's why they're in groups of 4 or 5 as well, because then they're not particularly optimized by taking them in small trios. This is a spare plastic miniature at the back that I used to make a shield captain. I have got another one in the works, which is a much more distinct miniature. which is I think it's called the Valerion miniature, which was the anniversary miniature from one of the Black Library books that I've converted with a different helmet, and he'll be getting painted up to replace this miniature at some point in the future. And then at the back in the centre, you've got the Sagittarum Guard. So these are using the Forge World conversion kit with the plastic box set that comes as standard, and then there's some minor converting here in that I've made one of them have an open-handed stance, which is this one here, the sort of squad leader perhaps, not that they really have squad leaders, which took a little bit of scraping. And then also based on some old, I think John Blanche artwork, I've given them the plumes on top as well, which don't come in the kits, because then it looks much more like the artwork and actually makes the miniatures seem slightly taller and thus less squat on their bases. And then finally, the big machines at the back, the big heavy hitters. You got the Achilles Contemptor Dreadnought at the back with the old Dread Spear. That's quite a nice miniature. And then my favourite one here at the back, the Telemon. This is a big shooty Telemon without close combat weapons. He's only had a couple of runs out. In one game, yeah, he killed quite a lot of stuff. In another game, he was completely ineffective. In terms of the bases that I've used, so any here where you can see the scenic bases, these are from Unreal Wargaming Studios, I think it's called. So they're one-piece solid resin bases. They're really, really nice, and I enjoyed working on the urban effects for them, putting in little tufts, etc., adding bits and pieces. And then the other miniatures here, these have got base toppers on of the existing plastic bases. So all the other squads in the army. Except the ones that are meant to be on dirt or mud. And these base toppers are all from Anvil Industries, as are the different weapons and crates that are on the objective markers. And that's the whole force at the moment. As I say, there are some more bits and pieces in the works when I get round to them. I've only got so much time. That includes a new Shield Captain miniature. We've got I can't remember what the name for the commanders for the Sisters of Silence are, but I've got one of those in the works. And in addition to which, I've also got a custom-built Valdor miniature. I really don't like the one made by Forge World, so I had somebody, Barry Watkins is his name. You should look him up on Instagram. He's a phenomenally talented sculptor and modeller. Make me a custom version of Valdor. And so I've got him in the works to paint, along with a Sisters of Silence Pursuer Cadre, which took some converting from bits from Forge World and some other acquisitions from Anvil Industries as well, to create the Cyber Hounds and the Cyber Birds, if you like, as well. But those are all in the pipeline, along with half a dozen Custodes and Terminators as well. So at some point I'm going to get through all of those, and that'll be the collection pretty much complete. At the moment I haven't got a huge amount of impetus to complete the force because they're not getting any games at the moment, obviously, in the current climate, which is a shame. But at some point in the future I hope to get them back out on the table and throw some dice down. I hope you've enjoyed having a look at my Custodian Guard and their Sisters of Silence allies. As I say, this is one of only a couple of sci-fi collections I have for various rule systems. The other one, which I'll showcase in the future, is Drop Fleet Commander, for which I have ships for all, apart from the Shaltari, for different factions. But yeah, I'm really pleased with these. I really like the fiction behind the Custodes and everything about them. I play them more for the sort of the narrative feel of them and the look of them. As I say, I don't max out any of the options in the squads or anything like that. I mean, to be honest, they're plenty hard enough to deal with without me needing to go crazy on options and equipment and trying to make them as optimized as possible for destroying things. That's all for this video. I hope to see you in the next one, and in the meantime, happy hobbying.